today's home Pathshala. It will transform your dream into reality.
Good morning, my dear student. Today we are going to understand the sampling. Sampling, what are the important topic of the sampling design? A sample design, the population and sample, number one. Number two, sampling, characteristics of good sampling, significance of sampling, sampling now, sampling error, sampling frame, method of sampling, probability sampling, non-probability sampling, sampling unit, sampling distribution, central limit theorem, and determination of the sample size. So these are our objective to study. And parallelly, we have to solve the important questions of sampling. As example, sampling frame is a comprehensive list of all elements in a population from which a sample is drawn. The sampling frame is a comprehensive list of all elements in a population from which a sample is drawn. If the statement is true or false, the statement is true. So how can we solve these types of question? Sampling error can be reduced by increasing the sample size. What is the central limit theorem? So before solving this problem, we have to understand the important concept of sampling. These important concepts are, so we have to understand the sample design, important terms and terminology of sample design under this section, about the concept of universe and population. Second important area is sampling frame. Third, the sample design. Number 4, we have to understand the statistics and parameter. Number 5, sampling error. Number 6, population and sample. And number 7, the sample. Under the section of sampling, we have to study the concept, characteristics of good sample, steps in sample design, significance of sampling, sampling and non-sampling error, and sampling frame. Important steps in sample design, we have to select the type of universe, number 1. Number 2, define source list. Number 3, identify sampling unit. Number 4, identify the size of sample. Number 6, select the parameter of interest, means population parameter. Monitor budgeting constant and specific sampling procedure. So what is the universe and population? From statistical perspective, the term universe refers to the total number of items or unit in any field of inquiry. The universe means total number of items or unit in any field of inquiry. And what do you mean by population? Population refers to the number of items about which information is desired. The population means number of items about which information is desired. The characteristics and elemental units are the subject of the study. Population is the sum of such units. Population is the sum of the such unit. Now the question is, what is sampling frame? The sampling frame is a list of all the elementary unit or item in the population from which a sample is drawn. The sampling frame is a list of all the elementary units or item in a population from which sample is drawn. Now the next important concept we have to clear, that is called statistics and parameters. What do you mean statistics? Statistics are the sample characteristics, and while parameters are population characteristics. The sample mean is called the statistics, and population, my student, you remember the sample mean is called statistics and population means is called parameter. However, the such measures are called parameter where they describe the population. The population mean is a parameter where sample means is a Statistics are very important point. Sampling error means when sample survey involve small portion of the population, the data collected may be inaccurate. This inaccuracy is called the sampling error or error variance. I repeat again, when sample survey involve the small portion of population or data collected may be inaccurate. When the inaccurate data will be collected, that is the concept is based on the sampling error. I have already discussed what is population and sample. As an example, relationship between the population and sample. This is the whole universe, the sampling frame, and it is a sample. Now the come to the point, the sampling, concept of sampling. The sampling is the selection of part of aggregate or totality to make judgment or inference. Sampling is the selection part of aggregate or totality to make judgment or inference. Thus, it involves the study a portion of population to learn about. The sampling the portion of study of the population we will research or investigate or will study. Okay. So what are the important characteristics of good sample? What are key characteristics of good sample? The key characteristics of sample are discussed below. The sample should be representativeness. A sample effectively represents an attribute of the population from which it is selected. This implies the sample should include some proportion of variance prevalent in the population, such as gender, income level, and parting character. Sample should be adequate size. Sample size must large enough to represent the population accurately. Third important thing, randomness. Randomness is sampling refer to condition where each element of the population has an equal probability of being selected for inclusion in the sample. Next important, homogeneity and heterogeneity. The homogeneity of samples refer to the degree of similarity among the elements, and heterogeneity means degree of dissimilarity among the elements. Clear? And sample should exhibit equality in terms of homogeneity and heterogeneity with the target population. Clear? Next important thing is the independence. Independence means that each individual sample unit can be selected independently. The significance of this properties lie in its ability to reduce the likelihood bias during the sample selection process. Next important thing, the accessibility. The get to touch with, observe, study, choosing the sample unit. Measurability refer to the ability to precisely measure or observe the inherent equality of select sample. Next important thing is the precision. Precision means how closely sample estimate the mean of the population, which is the real population parameter. Stability, important point, the context of sample characteristics refer to the degree of consistency. And cost effectiveness refer to the balance reached between the quality of sample and resource required to obtain. It states in sample design, first of all, select the type of universe. Universe can be finite or infinite. Define the source list, should be complete, accurate, reliable, and appropriate list is needed. Identify sampling unit. Sample unit can be geographical unit, state, district, village. Construction unit, house, flat, like this. Social unit, family, club, or an individual. Identify size of sample. Sample size should not be too big or too small. Should be ideal. The best sample is efficient, representative, reliable, and flexible. Select parameter of interest or population parameter. We may want to estimate the population proportion of people with a certain trait, know its average. The population mean is called the parameter. Monitor the budgetary constant and specify sampling procedure. Sampling procedures means ultimately the researcher must decide the suitable sample type and selection technique. The researcher is required to select one of four sample design, including the subsequent pages. Okay. The next important topic is the significance of sample. The main significance is sampling save time and money. It proceeds to result faster than initial. Next, trained and experienced investigation conduct sample studies which may improve measurement accuracy. Only sampling work for the infinite population. Sampling help the estimating sampling error and help to learn about population characteristics. And we also have to develop the knowledge sampling and non-sampling error. When doing research, it's important to know all about error could happen during the data collection and review the phase to make sure the results are concerned and reliable. There are two main types of research error can be happen: sampling error and non-sampling error. The sampling error basically is statistical error that occur when analysts select the sample that is not representative of the population being studied. So sampling error occur when the study is conducted on a subset of the population rather than the entire population. This error occurred due to the selection of limited segment of population, maybe resulting in the significant volume of variance. A non-sampling error, on the other hand, have nothing to do with the sampling. They arise from the stage of research process. This type of error can be occur any stage from data collection to data processing. It may be more difficult to detect and correct. So there are some important points about sampling error. Sampling error are random variation in sample values that are compared to the real parameter of the population. The random variation in the sample value. Increase the size of the group lowers sampling error, which is not a increase in size of the group. It can be happen the lower sampling error, which is not as the important when the population are similar. Precision of the sample plan is a standard way to measure the sampling error for different sample size and parameter. Sampling error goes down as sample number get bigger. To find the sampling error, multiply the critical value at certain level of the importance by the standard. And these are the non-sampling error. Non-sampling error can be divided the measurement error. Processing error. Measurement error means occur when there is a flow in way data is collected or measured. Processing error arise during the data processing such as coding error, data entry mistake. Non-response error occur when significant portion of the selection sample does not respond. Interview biasness introduced when the behavioral characteristics of interviewer influence the response of participant. Response biasness can be happen when the respondent provide inaccurate answer, either intentionally or unintentionally due to social desirability. Next, non-sampling error have a substantial impact on research science. They might skew the data and lead to incorrect finding. And sampling, now we are going to understand the sampling frame. Sampling frame is a fundamental concept in research methodology that form the basis of choosing sampling from specific population. Okay. So what are the important characteristics of good sampling frame? It should be completeness, must encompasses all individuals in the population without any exclusion or repetition. Latest information constant with the sample frame must be latest. Next important thing, the accuracy. The information include the sample frame must be exact and accurately. Next important point, appropriate scope. Sampling frame should align with the focus of the investigation. Some example of sampling frame are as follows: individual list, geographical list. Okay. Next important thing, in order to improve the sampling frame, need to put focus on the periodic update, verification and cleaning, and multiple sources. Now we're going to solve the important question. This first thing, the statement was true and false. The sampling frame. Now come. The sampling frame is a comprehensive list of all elements in a population from which the sample is drawn. This is the truth. This question is my sampling method. The non-probability sampling ensure that every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. This is the false, because probability, in the case of probability sampling, there is a possibility population has an equal chance of being selected. Sampling error can be reduced by increasing the sample size. This is a very interesting point. If the sample size increase, sampling error will be decreased. Next important, the central limit theorem apply only when the population is normally distributed. This is the false. In my next class I will discuss about the central limit theorem. That's why I do not discuss the central limit theorem. Next, non-sampling error can occur during the data processing and data collecting stage. It's true. Non-sampling error can be occur during the data processing and data collecting stage. Non-sampling error is basically based on response biasness, investigator biasness. That's why, and in any case, data collection, data coding. Okay, make the correct answer. Which of the following is not a characteristic of group sample? Which not? Which is not? Which of the following is not? Representativeness, independence, adequate size, these all are the important characteristics of good sampling. Only the convenience. So, convenience is the correct option. In probability sampling every number has non-zero chance of selection. In probability sampling, this is true. Every member has non-zero chance of selection. Make the correct answer. Central limit theorem states the sampling distribution of sample mean approaches the normal distribution as sample size increase. This is true. When the sample size increase, the central limit theorem will be applicable. The marginal error. What is the marginal error? The margin, the range within which the true population parameter is expected to fall. That is called marginal error. Next important question, which is the primary purpose of sampling research? The primary purpose of sampling research is to select the correct representative, to select a representative part of the population. Which of the following is the main advantage of sampling? Faster data collection is the advantage of sampling. Which is ensure study? What is census study? Sorry, what is census study? The census study studying every member of the small universe. What is the key features of probability sampling? Every unit has known and non-zero chance of being selected. Which sampling method is described as a purpose from the probability sampling? That is called random sampling. In systematic sampling, how is the first unit selected? Randomly with specific range. What is the key disadvantage of systematic sampling? It is vulnerable to periodicities in the list. Which is the main characteristics of stratified sampling? is the dividing the population into distinct category of state. So these are our important topic about the sampling and sampling method. So my dear student, keep touch with this channel. If you have any queries, you can send to my WhatsApp and you can join my classes also.